Monday.
It just so happens I married a man who's younger than I am. Thank you, thank you. In fact, he's 2 years younger than he thinks I am.
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Charles Osgood.
Rita Rudner is a very funny lady and a very successful one, too, which more than qualifies her for our series about the folks who make us laugh. John Blackstone now with A Funny Thing.
In a city that boasts about its sinfulness, where the entertainment is often X-rated, one of the most successful performers on the Las Vegas Strip avoids four-letter words and always appears fully clothed.
Gambling's legal, prostitution's legal. Guess the jails here are just full of people who litter.
For 7 straight years, Rita Rudner has been voted the city's Comedian of the Year, selling 1 million tickets, doing a show that by Vegas standards is low-key and innocent.
I have too many credit cards, though. You know what happened? Someone stole one and I didn't even notice. I noticed when I got that bill. Whoa, it was so much less. I'm letting him keep it. I'm saving money.
Unlike many comedians, Rita didn't start out as the class clown. Growing up in Miami, dancing was her dream.
When did you start taking ballet?
4. I was 4 years old. I took ballet and I loved it. And that's all I ever wanted to do, was be a dancer.
It was a dream that helped her cope with her mother's early death.
So you were 13 when your mother died?
Yeah, and it was tough. And then I went on and I said, luckily I had an interest that I wanted to be a dancer. And I think that kept me focused.
But it also led her to take a risky leap. At just 15, all by herself, she moved to New York, determined to dance on Broadway.
Everyone has a different story. That was my story. That's what I did. I wouldn't let my daughter do it. There isn't any way.
In New York, she did what she set out to do, dancing in big Broadway shows for a decade. But in her mid-20s, she began to ponder a career change.
I'd done 6 Broadway shows, and I noticed there weren't many female comedians. And
there was lots of competition when you auditioned
when I went
for dance.
to a dancing audition, there were 1,000 girls, and there were 3 jobs. So I said, I'll just try comedy.
And so she approached comedy as methodically as she danced.
You know, when you're a dancer, you start with the basics. You don't all of a sudden do a grand jeté and pirouette. You start with first position, second position, third.
Rita's first position as a comedian was sitting in the audience.
You hung around listening to people tell punchlines before you got up to do it yourself.
All night. I loved it. I would sit there and go, why is this funny? Why isn't this funny?
You remember the first joke you thought of?
My first joke I ever wrote was...
It's going to be a long time for me for children. I'm very single. I was going with someone for a few years, but we broke up. It's one of those things. He wanted to get married, and I didn't want him to.
And I was so excited. I called up all my friends. I thought of a joke. I thought of a joke. Yay, yay, I thought of a joke.
In comedy club after comedy club, she began telling her jokes.
My parents play backgammon. For very high stakes, I used to have a brother.
Finally, she reached the high perch of every aspiring comedian of her time, Johnny Carson's Tonight Show.
Would you welcome, please, Rita Rudner.
Well, I look a little like my grandmother now because I have brown hair and blue eyes, and she has blue hair and brown eyes. Mother's mother, she's a very tough cookie. Really, she buried 3 husbands. 2 of them were just napping.
Then, as now, Rita's material is notable for what it's not, raunchy or political.
I had the worst birthday party ever when I was a child because my parents hired a pony to give rides. And these ponies are never in good health. But this one dropped dead. It just wasn't much fun after that. One kid would sit on him and the rest of us would drag him around in us.
I like to take people away from the real world because the real world is a very complicated, upsetting place. I don't want to make anyone upset. I don't want to push the envelope. Let the envelope stay in the middle of the table. I'll just make you laugh.
In 1984, she met British producer Martin Bergman, and business and pleasure soon mixed.
We met because he produced comedy shows, and I'm a comedian. What better match could you have from that?
Here's a problem here.
I noticed one joke where we did it in reverse.
You and Martin have been married now?
20 years.
How have you managed that in this world today?
I think no one else found us particularly attractive, so we stayed together.
They made their home in Hollywood and did what all the locals seem to do.
We rented a typewriter, because it was in the olden days, and we started writing a script.
Oh, this is just something very expensive.
In 1992, that script became the movie Peter's Friends. It featured many of Martin's friends from Cambridge University.
Hello, everybody.
Rita played the sole American, an actress exuding all the excesses of Hollywood.
I could feel the cellulite building up on me on the plane. I wonder if any airlines have planes with gyms on them.
Together, they wrote more screenplays. Rita traveled on the stand-up comedy circuit.
All of a sudden, we decided that we weren't enjoying our lives as much as we used to, and we wanted to make a change. So we sold our furniture, our dishes. I think I left some underwear there. Everything. We just sold everything, and we started fresh in Las Vegas.
As a stand-up comedian, Rudner spent years on the road taking her act across the country. Here in Las Vegas, the audience comes to her from across the country. And while Vegas is no ordinary city, it's finally given Rita Rudner an ordinary life.
Well, I have to tell you about the most wonderful thing that's happened to us since we've been in Las Vegas. We have a daughter now. Thank you. Yes, she's 5, and I'm still trying to lose the weight, which is weird because we adopted.
We adopted a baby girl successfully, and she was born, and she was healthy, and she's the best little girl in the whole world.
Miss Molly?
After school, Rita is just another mom picking up her daughter. She now has the kind of life she used to joke about.
My husband and I, we've been discussing it so far. We're either going to get a dog or have a child. We haven't quite decided if we want to ruin our carpet or ruin our lives.
Well, now guess what? We have the dog and we have the child.
And she has new material for her act.
You learn a lot about yourself when you have a baby. You know what I've learned? I don't know all the words to any song. Oh, it's so humiliating when I sing to her. A, B, C, D, la, la, la.
Her jokes spring from everyday life, and a fact of her life now is that she's getting older.
We will do anything to stop those wrinkles. Oh, my Aunt Sylvia just had herself laminated. I just got a new wrinkle cream. Use it once a day, you look younger in a month, and twice a day, you look younger in 2 weeks. I ate it.
At 54, she's written a new book reflecting on getting older. Her publisher just sent her the first copies.
Here we go. Oh, it looks great.
Yes, I'm glad I shaved under my arms.
Yeah.
And next month, PBS broadcasts a show of her act in Las Vegas, recorded live.
Everyone's getting remarried. That's a big new thing. So I asked my husband if he wanted to renew our vows. He got so excited. He thought they had expired.
It will be the first time in 8 years that most who haven't been to Las Vegas will get a chance to see what Rita Rudner's been up to. In this town, she's been on a winning streak.
I buy too many clothes. Our closet is so stuffed. I made up a new rule. Every time I buy something, I have to get rid of something. Yeah, so I've had to throw a lot of my husband's clothes away.